Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Anime Sundays, the show where we talk about anime on Sundays. And today we will be reviewing the winners of the Crunchyroll Anime Awards 2025. Yes, as y'all know, annually when the Crunchyroll Anime Awards come out, I definitely have to dive into the winners of each subject and let you know if I agree, disagree, or who I would have in replacement. Let's get right into it. Starting off with Anime of the Year. God, you niggas is the ignorance. I can't. Solo Leveling. Congratulations. One of my homies on TikTok said, love Solo Leveling. Love everything that it has going on. Season 2 is going great. Love to see it. And I don't even think the story is that bad. But to say that Frieren didn't deserve Anime of the Year and you've watched both seasons, I feel like at some point we have to recognize when niggas are just being haters. Frieren was literally a piece of artwork, like beyond the storytelling, beyond the deep messages of time and faith, loyalty, passion. It had such great directing as well, on top of wonderful battles, and in my opinion, better battles than what we saw in season 1. Now, this could be kind of an attribute to Crunchyroll's new method of, everybody has to vote multiple times throughout a certain period. Like, I could see how that would, different animes would lose certain votes. But yeah, I definitely think it should have been Frieren. Frieren really just is a breath of fresh air when it comes to anime, and I think honestly there really wasn't anything like it, especially for a season 1 that we saw last year. So shout out to Solo Leveling. They're always doing great stuff. I think they hit the ground running, trying to properly portray all the stuff going on in the manhwa. But again, I feel like Frieren really blew it out the water. And to be honest with you, I still kind of agree with that. Kaiju number 8 and Dandadan could argue had a better first season. Don't get me wrong, season 2 is a different story, but first season, yeah, Dandadan and Kaiju number 8, I believe I would have took Kaiju number 8 at least at second place. We move on. Anime Film of the Year, Look Back. Never saw it. Shout out to them. My favorite movie was definitely the Haikyuu movie. One, because it was a canon movie, and I felt like we haven't got a canon movie in mad long with any anime, sports, shonen, etc. And or the My Hero movie. I thought the My Hero movie was a really good one. The best, no, not their best movie, but I feel like it was nice to see like a movie in that kind of Deku Vigilante arc era, along with the great battles that they had in that. My Hero's always going to do it as well, but I would have probably did Haikyuu. Global Impact Award, Attack on Titan, the final chapter. I can't remember if that actually came out last year. Attack on Titan always has its impact on everything. I don't even know the nominations for that. Shout out to Attack on Titan. Their impact globally is definitely huge. If we're doing ongoing animes though, I feel like One Piece probably last year had more impact, especially with Gear 5, etc. So, I probably would have chose that one. All right, best continuing series, Demon Slayer. Out of everything on this list, I'd probably go One Piece, of course, but obviously, I'm a little biased to One Piece. I would think it should win every category. But if I'm going to exclude One Piece, I would probably go My Hero Season 7. This was definitely My Hero's best season. You really felt the urgency of the villains trying to, take over, kill everybody, All Might not there. Deku really coming out of this, really going into deeper character development. Everybody, all the young heroes putting their best foot forward to really stop this crazy mayhem and chaos that's going on because of the League of Villains and Shigaraki. 1,000 Year Blood Award was amazing as well, but I do believe 1,000 Year Blood Award really kind of only carried when it came to the fights. Everything else, in terms of like the story, the emotion, it was kind of like, not really locked in at that point. I'm probably going to go with, My Hero in terms of overall impact continuing series, if I exclude One Piece. Best new anime series, Solo Leveling. And this is where it's kind of hard with the Crunchyroll Awards, man, because it's like, the people that can vote multiple times are probably younger folk who are just in school, which we do know is a huge part of the anime fan base. But I do think everybody should just get one vote. You know what I'm saying? Like, this multiple voting is kind of like, yeah, you're going to get the people who are online the most fluctuating or flooding the servers. So of course Solo Leveling is probably gonna win multiple categories. But out of everything on this list, in my opinion, again, I would have had Frieren here, or again, even Delicious in Dungeon, I felt like had such a way better plot and just a uniqueness to it of their script. Cooking monsters in a dungeon, like That's how they started it. You know what I mean? It's so unique. And I think, you know, really any other category on this list to me would have been a better choice, especially Solo Leveling already won Anime of the Year. Yeah, I would have got Frieren in here. After that, Delicious in Dungeon, Kaiju number 8. Moving on. Best Original Anime, Ninja Kamui. And as I'm looking at the nominations, I don't really know too much about everything on this list. I will say Ninja Kamui, when it came out, it had us really locked in. Some people was their favorite new anime, period. The fights were amazing. The concept was good. I did kind of fall off with the first season. You know, I'm not mad at it getting its shine for the amount of hype that it brought originally. Or initially. All right, best animation, Demon Slayer. I'm pretty sure they won this like 4 years in a row. You know, you really can't beat some of Demon Slayer's animation. Ufotable is crazy. Just everything they do, even when it's not major battles, their animation is crisp. I'm not gonna lie, Frieren, again, another great anime that had supreme animation. Even Delicious in Dungeon, showing the meals, the way they cut up the monsters, like that stuff's underrated in my opinion. So I would have probably, you know, Demon Slayer, I probably still could see catching the W here. I could agree on that. But again, I probably would have went Delicious in Dungeon. You know what I mean? Best character design, Dandadan. Not mad at this. I do really rock with Okurun's design, Momo and her grandmother, and even like the aliens and the, you know, it's a very artistic, artsy type of show. So you can understand how like they win this category. I mean, the cosplays I was seeing immediately just were like, oh wow, yeah, these are blowing your normal cosplays out the water. So I'm not mad at that. Maybe a strong second probably would have been Delicious in Dungeon for me. I believe it's a very wonderfully, you know, drawn show. Just the designs of the dragons, the creatures they fight, the meals they make. I think Delicious in the Dungeon got robbed a lot just because it wasn't as popular, really. Best Director, Kichiro Saito. Frieren. Agree completely. I believe Frieren definitely had the best directing all year. Even better than some One Piece episodes in directing. Not much more to say about that. The show is just phenomenally put together. And yeah, definitely well deserved. Nominees, Dandadan, Demon Slayer, One Piece Fan Letter. Now, One Piece Fan Letter, that episode alone, I believe would clear probably Frieren's best directed episode. But I also do think there's a bias because they're taking such core One Piece content. You know what I mean? Like they're taking content that is like super pivotal to the show, you know, the Marineford War, the Sabaody meetup, the 2-year timescape. It's like that type of content alone, even if it wasn't a director like Megumi Ishitani, anybody who really directed that would have probably been nominated for this category, you know what I mean? But I'm glad Frieren got their flowers there. If One Piece Fan Letter though, I could definitely see being a better episode than maybe Frieren's best directed episode. Overall as the series, I'll say no, right? Best background art, Frieren, again, I'm all about the Frieren hype. The setting, the scenes were amazing. Again, I would probably even go Delicious in Dungeon, and it looks like we have Pluto here as a nomination. We'll probably even go Pluto as well. But again, Delicious in Dungeon, I think could have had a good W here, but we move on. Best romance anime, Blue Box. Haven't saw it, but you know, I don't really watch too much romance anime. Shout out to them. Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Didn't know that was a nomination. But hey, shout out Blue Box. I probably would have just voted for Scott Pilgrim because I like that show. Best comedy, Mashla. Let's see what the nominations are here. Got Konosuba, Ramna, Spy Family Season 2, Delicious in Dungeon. The only other thing that was really competing with Mashla comedic-wise is Konosuba. I didn't finish Season 3, so I can't really say what's funnier, but I already know that Season 1 and 2 are funnier than Mashla, so I could imagine Season 3 is probably just as funny. So with that kind of put together theory, I could see Konosuba taking this category. Konosuba is quite actually literally hilarious. One of the funniest anime I've ever seen. And it's an isekai on top of it. But yeah, best action anime, again, gotta disagree. For this to win over 1,000 Year Blood War, we have to be so serious right now. We have to be dead ass. 1,000 Year Blood War arc honestly gave us some of the best fights in Bleach, period. Like, I'm not understanding. Not to mention, Season 1 really only had a couple crazy good fights. Him versus Igris was the only really cold fight in Season 1. And this is what I mean, the hype. Just the, oh, I want to vote just because I like that. Instead of people really being like, well, did it really have the best action? Other stuff I would have took over this. Shit, I would have damn near took Windbreaker over Solo Leveling with best action. Just because of that last few arcs of them going up against that other rival gang. Some of the best choreo we've seen in a minute for some just straight hand-to-hand boxing with characters with no powers. Really all this stuff, like Demon Slayer, training arc, even though we didn't get too deep, like Kaiju number 8, definitely better action anime. Yeah, I'm sorry. Just Solo Leveling kind of blowing me with this one. Moving on, best isekai anime. Re:Zero started life in another world. I'm not gonna lie, season 3 was definitely their best season. I'm not a huge fan of Subaru's character in general, but I do still kind of like Re:Zero. Yeah, Jobless Reincarnation, get that out of here. Shangli Frontier, I've been hearing good stuff about it, but I couldn't really get into the first season. Suicide Squad Isekai, not gonna lie, Suicide Squad Isekai was pretty good. You know, it gave you a really good like mix of the Marvel vibe and the anime vibe. I actually thought the show was pretty fire. And they had some really good battles. The time I got reincarnated as a slime season 3, I can see why this season didn't take it. It was a lot, very political, very like, you know, focused on Rimuru setting up connections, I guess, for the future seasons. And there was only like a really few good fights in there with the Chief Knight lady and all that stuff. And I could definitely see, you know, how Re:Zero kind of does have a little bit of a better story. It's definitely darker. It's definitely, you know, a little bit more unique in terms of their main character. While as in, you know, Slime, everything's kind of always Gucci. You know what I mean? It's like I kind of love it for it, but sometimes you can understand that, yeah, like Re:Zero will probably take that. But you know, love Slime. I probably would have had it a second for sure. But yeah, moving on. Best drama anime, Frieren. Love to see it. Would I have chose anything over this? Maybe Pluto. Haven't seen the other ones, but Frieren. Love to see it again. Best slice of life anime. You know, I'm not really a slice of life connoisseur. But shout outs to Makin, Too Many Losing Heroines. Shouts out y'all. I heard My Villain's Day Off was pretty good, but cool. Best main character, Jin Woo. Oh my god. It's like y'all gotta really lock in. Like, please. Over Frieren? Now let's really think about it for a minute. Like, even if you thought everything in Solo Leveling was really better than everything in Frieren because you thought Frieren was slow, you weren't a big fan of the time message, you weren't a big fan of them dealing with the Demon King now and it being kind of like a post story, but Frieren's character itself is so unique, and it's really what makes the show. She is literally just the embodiment of what a good person would do with infinite time. You know what I mean? Someone who has a lot of power, trying to do the right thing, trying to make places a little bit better as she goes along, and is also still just aura farming way better than anything we've seen in season 1 from Jin Woo. Everywhere she goes, because she's really that bitch. Not to mention she's funny. She's like, you know, not afraid of shit. Like, I just can't. Like, I would have took Kafka. I would have took shit. Momo 100% is a better MC than Jin Woo. Everything she's doing at Dandadan is literally is she damn near carrying her own show. I'm just really disappointed. I would have definitely either had, and honestly, I could have even took a Momo over a Frieren, but alas, what you gonna do? Best supporting character, Fern. Not mad at that. Fern is a great supporting character. Would I say she's the best on this list? I could probably go Senshi. I think Senshi's character is so critical to the Delicious in Dungeon plot, so critical to what they're even doing down there and their whole universe. But I do like Fern's character. It's a lot more deep than people think. Like, she's someone super blessed with magic at a young age, but you know, essentially has to find her will to want to like it instead of using it to just kind of better her life or do it for the person who took care of her, that old man on Frieren's squad. But I definitely probably would have went with like Senshi here over Fern. Must protect at all costs. We got Anya Forger. Not mad at that. You know, Anya is great. Frieren, Okuro, Senshi, and all these other guys, you know, they kind of can protect themselves. So I haven't seen a sign of affection, but I'm not mad at Anya. I would have had Anya. Best anime song, Creepy Nuts, the opening. It was a hit. Not mad at it. The only other one that most people like better was Bing Bong Bong Born, also by Creepy Nuts. I mean, they've been making hit openers. Not gonna lie, they is on that Jersey Club, Philly, Baltimore beat, which is the reason I feel like they have so many nominations, are running it up. But hey, shout outs to those boys doing their great work. Yeah, everybody else, good tracks, but of course they're gonna take it. Best anime score, again, we cannot be serious. Solo Leveling over a Demon Slayer or a Bleach? Come on now, y'all. Come on. I'm not even gonna talk about how Bleach always been killing the score in opening game forever. But 1,000 Year Blood Work, they didn't miss either. And even Demon Slayer didn't miss either. But hey, shout out Solo Leveling again. Best anime opening sequence, again, Dandadan won it. Not mad at that. Cool. Best ending sequence. You know, I'm not really too tapped into the ending sequences because I don't be really paying attention like that. Since the ending sequence is Solo Leveling, I don't know. I would have to re-listen to Dandadan's or Kaiju's to really put it there. But hey, whatever. Shout out Solo Leveling again. Best Japanese voice artist. We got old girl from Apothecary Diaries, Aoyuki, as Memo. I haven't watched Apothecary Diaries. Shout out her. Yeah, I think Momo did an excellent job, her voice actor. Shion Wakayama. Frieren did too, but I was like, Frieren didn't have enough lines to really flex her voice acting in terms of like what she was always talking about. But I could definitely see Momo really taking this. But hey, shout out to old girl from Apothecary Diaries. I'm sure she killed it as well, especially since I know that's not really, that's a more story focused anime or romance anime, if you will. Arabic, okay, shout out Anya Forgers. Arabic voice actor, he was going crazy. Shout out, really shout out all these voice actors from all different countries, Spanish, Portuguese. I'm gonna go ahead and just go straight to the English. We got Jinwoo, Alex Lee. Listen, he's a great voice actor and he's killing it for Jinwoo. So I'm actually not mad at that at all. I haven't really watched anything else in dub. I have seen some of Solo Leveling in dub, so I'm not mad at that. Shout out my boy AJ Beckles though. He's also a wonderful voice actor. So if anything, I would have got him second. For Okarun and Dandadan. Again, shout out the French voice actor for Kaiju number 8. Luffy's voice actor in German won one as well. Go crazy. Gojo's voice actor. Also, I'm not seeing a lot of JJK love on here, even though I do believe season 2 came out last year. But hey, we keep going. So we're gonna kind of skip through the voice actors here. Yeah, so I see there's no best fight category on this list again. That's insane. I feel like that's something they should always keep. But yeah, overall, I definitely agree that Solo Leveling won a few too many categories, especially in the action, overall anime, and main character. I definitely believe the community slept on Delicious in Dungeon. They slept on Frieren heavy. And even though Dandadan kind of received just as much hype, if not more hype than Solo Leveling, they also kind of were hoed out of a few categories. And Kaiju number 8 might have been hoed the most. I felt like they had one of the best seasons, top 2, top 3. But yeah, y'all, that's my review of the Crunchyroll Anime Awards. I really feel like Crunchyroll should stick back to the just voting one time sequence. Maybe just leave voting open for a little bit longer. Shout out Frieren. Shout out all the nominations and winners. But y'all let me know if y'all agree or disagree with some of the categories or if y'all agree or disagree with some of the winners. And yeah, we'll see y'all next Sunday.